Tom Macdonald was born on September 21st, 1988, and for the first 13 years of his life, he had grown up in a small town known as Mission, which is located in British Columbia, Canada. At age 13, Tom and his family moved to Edmonton, Alberta, and lived there for about 6 years. During that time, Tom attended many schools including York Elementary, Still Heights Junior High, J.J. Boland Junior High, and St. Joseph's High School. Tom grew up in a two-parent household, and his family had a strong work ethic. Tom's mom was employed as a bank teller and was later promoted into management. Tom's father, on the other hand, worked many jobs including scrap yards, lumber mills, and recycling plants. Tom has a very supportive family, and his family has always pushed him to follow his dreams. At age 14, Tom had a dream to become a wrestler, and within 6 months, he already had his first wrestling match. As well as not even a year later, he was on his own bi-weekly Canadian show called Canadian Wrestling Legends. While Tom was wrestling, he was still attending high school and was placed in an educational program called ISDL, which stands for Independent Self-Directed Learning. This program allowed him to perform his schoolwork during his own time and allowed him the flexibility to prepare for his wrestling matches. After Tom had graduated from high school, he later became a professional wrestler for the next 6 years, and would also work in promotions and companies such as Prairie Wrestling and Monster Wrestling. Now, until you make it big in wrestling, you have to find a way to get by in the wrestling business because it's a lot of hard work and very low pay. Tom would have to work other jobs to help with that, and would primarily work as a carpenter and would even at times work in logging camps and oil rigs. But through all the wrestling, and all the side jobs, and all the physical labor, Tom had a secret passion for making music. He secretly was writing raps during his time in wrestling, and had finally decided to make it a reality. Tom says his passion for rap all began as a child when his father had taken him to a pawn shop where he had found a Tupac CD called All Eyes on Me. He also remembers years later discovering an Eminem album for the first time and immediately wanting to be a rapper, but was not able to commit to it because he was focusing on wrestling.
Years later, I was getting on this yellow school bus that used to take me home after school, and this kid sits down next to me on the bus, and he's got this little Discman with him, and he's like, "Dude, you have to listen to this. I stole this CD from my brother." And I was like, "What is it?" And he's like, "This guy's name's Eminem. He's a white rapper." And I was like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, that's probably trash. And he's like, "No, man, you got to listen to it." And I remember putting my headphones on and just being like, holy shit. Because, there's a certain disconnect between a little white kid from the suburbs who's listening to Tupac. You can love it and it can be all you listen to, and you can be infatuated with it. But there's a disconnect there. He's talking about a lot of things in a life that I'm not familiar with, that I don't directly relate to. So when I heard Eminem start talking about stuff like just the crazy nonsensical shit and the problems with his folks and the trailer park and all this other stuff, those are things that I'd seen and that I'd been around. And that bridged the gap for me where I was like, oh my God, I could do that. I could write raps. I don't have to be the gangster drug dealer guy. I can just be me.
How Tom began to give rap a try all started after he saw an advertisement for a rap show in Alberta, Canada, and he had asked the promoter in an email if he could perform at the event. He had received an email back asking him to send over a demo, which he did, and was accepted the day before he would go on to perform. The promoter would ask him if he could help pass out the flyers to help promote it, and he had said yes. Tom was blown away that from helping pass out the flyers, the entire show was sold out. The promoter was thrilled, who actually ended up being Nova Rockefeller, and as many of you know, they would eventually become more than friends, and they would even begin to move from Canada to America and live in California to take Tom's music to the next level. Tom says while living in California, it was a struggle to the point of having no money or food at some points and only having half a cigarette to his name. He had one day decided to go out to his front porch with a notepad and began writing a song titled Dear Rappers. After writing the song, Tom ran back inside and told Nova this song is going to change our life forever. He had asked her to set up a camera and the backdrop and that he would begin to record the song. And Tom had shot that video in one day and knew he was onto something. He had called his mom, his sister, his friends, and even a stranger who described himself as an investor, and had borrowed around $1,100 in total from all of them and had used it all to run Facebook ads and help promote the video. And within 2 days, it reached over 1 million views, and the rest was history. Tom would go on to become one of the biggest artists the world has ever seen.